Hey, amazing people. I've lost my voice and sitting outside, so you're going to hear boats going past and cars and stuff too. But I wanted to do this, getting my car serviced, sitting here with a beautiful coffee in the sunshine. And I've just been responding to client messages regarding in particular at the moment, regarding a transformation alchemy challenge that we're up to day 6. So day 7 goes live tomorrow. Yes, we're up to day 6, and just some of the emails back and questions back, because it's not an online forum as such. It's emails out every day, every second day for 20 days, with 10 different lessons around alchemizing, your own feelings, your life, and using that lead for gold and seeing things very differently and working with yourself in a really different way. And so there's lots of people, talking about trust and the level of trust that is increasing for them and everything, and how they're realizing that things get to be a lot easier, and they notice how much conflict they create in their life in a really big way. And I suppose the conflict, I don't know, for whatever reason, on different levels, it can mean sometimes we feel like we're worthy of the results if we work really hard. Like we really do have, so many people have this really strong ingrained need to, link their, I've lost my jumper, link their worth to how much they're working. And I know that's definitely true. That was definitely true for me, and something I still catch myself on. Am I doing this thing because, I'm going to get some sort of recognition and approval and praise? Or am I doing it because I actually genuinely love it and want to do it? And can I be worthy anyway? And really learning to separate those things. And I teach that in all of my courses too. But it's something that it's something that's important to remind ourselves with, because if we're coming from that place all the time of the worth is from the outside, so it's from what we're doing as opposed to who we're being, like just us, it just becomes really hard, and we fill our life full of stuff that actually doesn't, when I say fill our life full of stuff, we go down paths and journeys and make decisions from this place of, are we going to get the recognition? Are we going to get this? Are we going to get that? And meanwhile, like, your soul and your heart is screaming out for other things, because it recognizes that you are already worthy, you are already amazing, and you're screaming out and you're like, no, I've got to keep going for this. And excuse me, it doesn't mean you can't go for those things. It just means that you start doing it really differently, and things like, as in taking action from a much different energy and place and harmony and love and just mindset. And sometimes it also means that you're just like, actually, that's not even a line for me. I have been, which can be confronting in some ways too if we let it, or it can be really freeing. It's like, well, I don't have to follow this path anymore. And we just start to trust ourselves a whole lot more. So in the spirit of, I could go on about this for a long, long time, but in the spirit of growth, in the spirit of, excuse me everyone, just flashed you I think, in the spirit of doing this work, in the spirit of the journey called life, and in the spirit of making things easier, I wanted to talk about, in a post I put up on Facebook yesterday, so it was my husband and I's 15-year wedding anniversary last week. And I'd ordered him a gift because I was like, crystal was the 15-year thing. And I was like, if it wasn't crystal, it was watches. I was like, he doesn't wear watches. I'm not going to buy him one just for the sake of it. He's not into crystal, so I bought him some crystal cups to drink rum out of, which are still in the box. Like, we're not big drinkers or anything, but we do have enjoy a glass or something every now and then. So anyway, bought him some crystal glasses, and I was like, what could you get someone? Because, we're both very much like, if we want something, we go out and get it. We're just like, oh yeah, we want that, we desire it, we go out and get it. So sometimes presents are a little bit tricky for one another. And, in terms of like, what do they need, or what would they really desire? It's normally just nice things, beautiful things, but not something that we necessarily need or have really wanted for a really long time. Like sometimes, but not always. I'm going to sit back this way, I think, because it's getting a bit uncomfortable there. And so I found a place that did, it came up randomly about socks on, faces on socks. And I was like, oh, like a picture of someone on socks. And I was like, oh, why don't I do it on undies? Just as something, romantic and blah, blah, blah. I was having a bit of laugh, and I am a bit cheeky by nature. I love having a bit of fun, and I was like, what a blessing. And so anyway, I found something somewhere that did it, and I ordered it 4 weeks prior to the anniversary, and it still arrived after the anniversary. Anyway, long story, it was funny, it was hilarious, everyone's laughing, our kids are laughing their heads off, and it was meant to be just funny, and Ben loved it too. He thought it was hilarious, but loved it, just like the present that he's never known he's wanted, and now he's got it. So I gave that to him, and I posted the photo on Facebook, and everyone's had a laugh. But I've had quite a few messages back, which has been really cool, because, I suppose this is a bit vulnerable, or very vulnerable, talking about some of these things. And while I'm not going into detail, married for 15 years is not always smooth sailing. And sometimes if you've been in a long-term relationship, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, I don't know, maybe one day you will. And it's even not, it doesn't have to be marriage, it could be just a relationship, it could be a relationship that you've been in for a long period of time. And I just wanted to talk about that, because I had, quite a few messages, and beautiful messages, the messages were amazing, but just isn't it great you got to where you are, and happy anniversary. And a few times I was like, yeah, sometimes I wondered if we'd ever get to this point with some of the stuff we've gone through. And everyone responded with, yeah, isn't it worth fighting for something that you love? And, I love the sentiment, and so there's no judgment inside that or anything at all. But it really got me thinking about, am I fighting for a relationship? And I realized long ago, I stopped fighting for the relationship. And I think that's and this is going to sound confusing, but I think that's why it worked. I think that's why it worked, because if we take a back step, Ben has seen a million versions of me in, 15 years of marriage, but longer together in a relationship. He's seen a million different versions of me. He's seen me have children. He's seen our daughter, was insanely sick for many years from birth, and in and out of hospital visits, and in and out of specialist appointments, and in and out of all these things. He's seen all those versions of me inside that. He's seen the versions of me when I was somewhat young and reckless, and him too, right? I've seen all those versions of him. I suppose I'm just talking about it from my perspective. And so sometimes, in our life and in our journey, we might say, oh, I just want to be me. I just want to go back to who I was. And I don't think you actually do. I don't know, maybe you do. I can't take that away from you, but we are here to evolve and grow. And I know 100% there's certain beliefs and thoughts that you thought, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, however long it was, that you were on some path, and, you were adamant on some things, and you've totally changed your mind and stance on that, or your idea. Maybe it's your favorite color or whatever. And I just want you to realize that there's all these different versions of you. And that's when we're fighting it. That's when we're trying not to let ourselves have this version of us, because we look back on this comparisonitis of who we were here and who we were there and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, this is who I've got to be loved or liked or whatever. And, I have a program, for example, where I actually get you guys to focus on what are the masks that you're wearing, and the masks are somewhat noble. They might be that you are a kind person, but deep down you don't want to be, which sounds ridiculous, but you've put this mask on 1,000 times over, because then if you're this person, which essentially the undertone might be in that example, you've given away your power. You don't even know what your needs are, but you're constantly looking at understanding other people's needs, and you're layering that with kindness. And meanwhile, your cup is completely being depleted, but you look good on the outside, and you're feeling like, oh, is the outside world sort of approving of me? And again, it can be really confronting, or it can be really freeing. It's totally up to your perspective and what you want to do. But this is the type of stuff we go through in relationships. And I think if I fought for it, and I just got done with doing things the hard way. I got done with fighting for things a long time ago. I suppose my daughter being sick was a big initiation into that. I got done with working really hard for a result. And don't get me wrong, you come and sit with me for a day, my day is full, but I love what I do. And what I'm doing in this world is completely aligned to my values and my vision, and it moves the dial to that. If something doesn't go my way, sure, I have a moment of disappointment or sadness or whatever real feelings popping up, anger, whatever's coming up for it. But I don't lose hope in it. I don't try harder. I look at maybe how I can align my energy more, or my thoughts more, or stay in my vision further, and stop diluting all of those things. And this is what we tend to do when we tend to fight for things. We're pushing the old apple cart, if you will, and wondering why things aren't changing, but we know the definition of insanity too. And so this is not relationship advice. This is not any sort of advice whatsoever, but perhaps a reflection of you are meant to be a million different versions of you. And some of those versions you're probably going to love deeply and some you won't. And I think if you allow yourself to grow and to be you, eventually you come on that path and you deepen into yourself. That's the only way I can really describe it. You deepen into yourself. And sure, the pendulum may swing inside that, and let it swing so that you can explore the full variety of the feeling, of the emotion, of the experience, like of the human experience that you get to have. And you stop fighting it. And it can feel like a flip side of, well, fight for what you believe in. If you believe in it, why do you need to fight for it? Why can't you believe in it with your full and utter conviction and peace and love and respect and boundaries and harmony and all of those things, as opposed to tearing shit up? Because ask yourself what tearing shit up really is going to do for you. Is it going to give you the result that you're after? Or are you going to contribute to whatever it is that you're after, that you say that you want, that feels really good in that element of what you want? Are you going to be contributing to that and adding to the energy of more sort of conflict and more confusion and more hardship, and getting there and being like, oh, now I have to rest for 6 years because I'm so damn tired? And so, you know, as I said, it's a bit of a reflection more than anything. But I just see this so often. I see people in a disarray when this decision's really simple. And look, humans love to complicate things. Humans love to find a problem, and to believe in that problem so much that their passion and conviction and like just drive to solve that problem is just, I don't know, it's how they leave their indelible mark sometimes, you know. Does it have to be that way? No. Can it be that way? Absolutely. But I just really want you to ask, what am I bringing to this world? And what about if I put that conviction and love and belief and everything into me, into my heart, into my vision, instead of, you know, all these things outside of me that other people will approve or see or like or whatever. And, you know, allow the internal to be the judge of how much harmony, how much love, how much respect you have of your life. Like, do you put your head on the pillow at night and absolutely love who you are and are so grateful for who you are and what you have done, like from the place of being that person for the day? Or are you worried about, I don't know, what your spouse is going to say, or what your crush down the road is going to say or think or whatever, and you constantly change yourself based on what they're saying? And in that reflection, you realize that you haven't evolved, you haven't grown, you haven't moved. You're so wanting to, you're sort of desiring to make some changes, and you're taking some actions inside that, but your energy's always back over here, right? And then you start like that conflict, and then you start that fight. I want you just to let go of that need, And I just want you to realize, what am I fighting for? Am I fighting because I'm not tuning into my self-belief? Am I feeling like that's the way I'm going to become motivated and driven and focused? Or can I just choose those things anyway? Because I know you can. And I know there's a cha-cha inside that sometimes too. But allow yourself to be all those versions of you. And, you know, back on the relationship, like, I'm still going to be 1,000,001 versions of me. And in some cases, I can't tell you if that's going to be great for Ben and I's alignment in 5 years' time or 10 years' time or 20 years' time or even a month's time. I don't know. I can't tell you what that's going to be. All I can do is live in the moment and live my truth in the moment and give someone else permission to do exactly that. Even though in my human experience that can feel very uncomfortable sometimes as well, as it can for him, which I'm very grateful for him too, because, you know, I do this work, I suppose, day in, day out, and sometimes I feel like I'm dragging him through it. And yet here he is still standing and allowing me to be me, and you know, and honouring that as well. And sometimes that path of his acceptance is different to the path of my acceptance as well. And I think that's a good thing to call out, because your journey is going to be different to somebody else's journey, no matter what you are doing, no matter what you want, no matter whether you're in an intimate relationship together, no matter whether you're in, I don't know, you work together or you're just friends or just friends. Whether you're friends, like, I'm not diminishing friendships or anything like that, but just noticing that at the end of the day and at the end of the year and at the end of the life, and however you want to measure it, it's all going to come down to, you know, were you? Were you who you wanted to be? Or were you constantly looking around for things to believe in to fill the void perhaps of the lack of belief for self? And are you worried about changing because, I don't know, you're going to lose some of that identity? When in actual fact, let's be so grateful for that identity, because it got you to the decision that you're able to make right now. And all you need to do is allow that decision to be made and allow that decision to unfold and give yourself permission to do exactly that. So today, find it in your heart to back and believe you. Find it in your heart and soul. And just know, even if it feels like, you know, a millisecond, that it's something more perhaps than yesterday, to believe in you, to absolutely back yourself with the same conviction you might do for other things outside of you. You can still believe in all of those things, you can still fight for all of those things if that's really what you want to be doing. But ask yourself as well, in that conviction of anything that you're doing, if you're coming from that self-belief of you, do you need to fight? Can you just walk with your head held high and the confidence, and you know, you channel that motivation from your own self-belief, you channel that drive from your own self-belief, you channel that conviction from your own self-belief, as opposed to somebody else giving it to you from the outside? Because I don't know about you, but I'm done in lots of ways with choosing the fighting. And there's a beautiful quote, and I cannot remember which one of my mentors, I'll remember it as soon as I finish this, I'm sure, talked about years ago, and it was like, we do not need a revolution. Like, people just want to blow shit up and change things really quickly. We just need to evolve. And isn't that interesting? If we just simply evolved, we wouldn't need that destructiveness so much of the time. Yeah, sure, it might still exist, but it's not going to become a necessary way to live. It's going to be something that we actually, like, maybe have a bit of resistance in and then move. Have a bit of resistance in and move. Get to know ourselves, but realizing that vulnerability is just as much as of our superpower as, I don't know, self-belief and, I don't know, happiness and joy. That the suite of emotions get to be filled. Like, I can't speak properly with this cough. Feel like a feeling. Oh dear. And now here comes all the cars and everyone watching me. I've got a bit of an audience here in sunny Maxville. But yeah, you get to feel that suite of emotion, and in fact, it's a beautiful gift that you get. So stop numbing it, stop avoiding it, stop avoiding change, allow yourself to evolve, not try to create a revolution everywhere you go in everything that you do. All right, over and out, totally rambling now. Choose that self-belief for you.